Welcome to Drunken Philosophy.
Hello.
I'm Connor Holmes.
I'm Dan.
And you might have forgotten us.
Sorry.
Whoops.
Oopsie doozies.
We've been very busy. We've been doing coke.
Yeah. Well, a big list of illicit drugs been going in and out of our bodies.
It's when it has now turned into the Joe Rogan Experience because we've done a lot of psychedelics.
Yeah. I went on a spirit quest.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out my spirit animal is a marmot. I didn't even know what that was. I think it's a small rat or a ferret. It could be a combination of the two.
It's a cross.
To be fair, I didn't see it. It was I saw.
It was given to you by an Indian shaman.
Yeah, an Indian shaman whose name was Fat Elvis. He gave me a marmot.
We went on a spirit quest in Las Vegas.
We did, yeah. We may or may not have just taken acid on the Las Vegas Strip and wandered out into suburban Las Vegas.
But you know what we did take back from that? We took back information and a journey.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. Information and the journey. And by the journey, I mean Steve Perry fronting Journey. So, anyways, we're just going to pretend like this podcast has been going on for the past 4 months and just...
We want to give a shout out to the one Brazilian guy that probably killed himself because we didn't release anything.
The one Brazilian guy who's like, what happened to the only thing in my life that made it worthwhile living in Brazil?
He is one of the only people that comments on our Facebook page.
Yeah. He is probably like one of the extras from City of God, who's just like in the background, whose life was horrible, and we were the only thing holding it together.
You know what the best part about it is that he probably really he probably only understands enough English to understand our philosophy side of it, but like all of our like jabs and jokes about like weird pop culture stuff, he's like,
yeah,
I don't care for that in the beginning, but I like the middle part.
He didn't get it. He went out on that like 18-minute diatribe about Deep Space Nine and how it was better than Voyager. He didn't get any of the references.
He skipped ahead.
Yeah, he's like, maybe I'll just keep doing that 30-second jump. We'll get to a part where I understand what the fuck they're talking about. Yeah, and also Dawn out in New York. I know she was probably listening up until we stopped doing it, and then that's pretty much it. I know my dad probably stopped listening.
This is the saddest thing.
Pretty much everybody else is like, whatever.
Your dad actually unsubscribed from the Facebook page. He's like, they're not doing anything.
Yeah, I couldn't care less that we're not doing it anymore.
He went through a big Facebook purge.
Yeah.
He was like, my son's podcast. I don't think I need that.
No thanks. Cluttering up my feed.
You know what? Your dad's better than my dad. My dad doesn't even know I do this.
Oh, we'll fix that. He's gonna call in later at the end of the show.
We'll do a Skype call with Charles Holmes.
Anyway, so sorry that we were gone for so long. We were just very busy, and combined that with utter laziness, and it didn't happen for a while. But we're gonna start doing it again. So let's get into it.
If you are drinking at home, we have had 2 vodka sodas,
2 big old vodka sodas,
and we had some flaming hot munchies and some M&Ms.
We just ate some. I went to the liquor store and I bought some beer and some flaming hot munchies and some pretzel M&Ms, and we are drinking Big Leaf Maple, Anchor Brewing Company. It's their seasonal for the fall.
And if you're snacking at home.
Yeah, if you're snacking at home, keep up, guys. Come on. All right, well...
Hit me.
Okay, so what I wanted to talk about today, it's not strictly a philosophical topic, but I think there's a lot of philosophical, tendrils to it. Man, I haven't done this in a while.
Psychic tendrils?
Psychic tendrils. So, you know who Joseph Campbell is?
He started the Campbell Soup Company.
Yeah. So, his brother, Joseph Campbell.
His brother, the philosopher.
He wasn't even a philosopher. Joseph Campbell.
Well, I've heard that name.
You could sort of say he is.
Where is he from?
So, he's this writer. He's kind of a philosopher. He's more just like an intellectual, I guess. I don't know. But, so, he came up with this thing that you probably know called the hero's journey.
Yeah, okay, so I have heard of this guy, yeah.
So everybody pretty much learns about it in high school. But the hero's journey is sort of this format for storytelling. And Joseph Campbell had this theory about myths in general. He liked learning a lot about myths, like, you know, from a lot of different cultures and cross cultures and cross time, like from all different times. And one of the things he discovered after like learning a lot of different myths is they all sort of follow this same sort of format. And so he came up with this theory.
Which is the Rocky format.
It is, basically, yeah. It is actually, sort of. It's the Star Wars Rocky format.
Where you start off and you're nothing and you're just an amateur boxer.
Yeah, you're a nobody, but...
then you punch some meat and run on a beach.
Yeah.
And you beat one of the best boxers in the world.
Right. So that format has been told time and time again. Zarathustra, Jesus, Buddha, all
Jesus
of them.
did this?
Yeah, he beat Apollo Creed.
That's okay. See, because I was confused. I watched Rocky 3 and I had no idea what was going on.
No. It was in Rocky 2. Jesus beat Apollo Creed. No, so yeah, he came up with this idea that is either called the hero's journey, but it's also called the monomyth, which is the idea that all myths are sort of following this same format, just with different characters and different names.
I can get behind
for
that.
Different cultures.
It's very fucking prevalent in a lot of storytelling.
Well played. That sentence.
Checkmate, sir.
Checkmate on that sentence.
Now it's my time to talk.
Okay, so let's just talk very briefly about what the hero's journey is for anybody who doesn't know. And this is literally going to be, because this is one thing I did not look up before we started. So this is going to be my remembrance from what I learned in freshman year of high school and what I remember from Star Wars.
And then everything I don't remember from high school.
Yeah. So the hero's journey, from what I remember, is it starts with your protagonist, your main character, and he's sort of, down in the dumps. His arc is pretty low at this point. Nothing's really happened to him yet, but he has a lot of potential. And he starts on his journey. He has some sort of quest. Like, he has ambition to do something. So he starts working towards it. And pretty early on, he meets an older figure who, is like... The archetype is the old wizard character. Like when you play an RPG and it's like, go talk to the wizard. He's going to tell you how to play this game.
I've never played one of those in my entire life.
I hate you so much right now.
I've only DM'd them.
So yeah, the old wizard character, the Obi-Wan Kenobi, the what's his face?
Mr. Miyagi.
Sure, Mr. Miyagi. I was going to say what's his name from Rocky. I don't remember. Mick. I can't remember the actor's name. But anyway... so those guys, an older person who comes into you with a lot of knowledge and sort of teaches you the way of this mysterious force. And this force, they literally called it the Force in Star Wars, but is like the universe's energy, and sort of you use your ambition as the hero to follow this universe's energy, and you sort of master it, and then at some point you have to defeat a villain, and sometimes the villain is yourself, sometimes the villain is somebody else. Sometimes it's a dragon. It's usually a dragon in European stories. And then you defeat the dragon, and there's like some falling action where everything works out great. I think that's it. I'm sure those were really broad strokes for the hero's journey, but I think that's basically
no, but that's all you need for the hero. Anybody could write a book with those points.
Yeah. It was one of those things where it's just like, oh, I'm so lazy, but I want to write a fable.
It's like the Mad Libs for writing an adventure novel.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, oh, what happens after he meets this wizard? Oh, look at the hero's journey arc and go, okay, so then he goes to this place. So basically what Joseph Campbell decided is that like all myths are sort of following... In a loose sense, obviously very different things happen to Buddha than happen to Jesus or happen to Joseph Smith.
You mean Yeezus.
Yeezus, sorry, yeah. When he didn't... Like, Buddha never met Kim Kardashian, I don't think.
Not that I know of.
Yeah, not yet. We'll see.
They both got big butts.
Yeah, we'll see what's in the cards. But, yeah, so every story loosely follows this sort of same arc, which sort of brings up the question is like... Is there any sort of individuality to different cultures, really? Or are we all just, like, putting makeup on the same pig? Like, is it all just sort of humanity, but we're just, like, dressing it up as these very different experiences in different cultures, but it's all really sort of the same thing? And then, if it is all the same thing, what is that? Like, is that just some underlying force in humanity that, like, makes us want to believe in these stories that have this arc?
Well... I mean, number one, you used my favorite reference, which is you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig.
Right. Is that how it goes?
Yeah. You can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig.
I thought it was you can put lipstick on a pig, but you can't make it blow you. Is that
No,
how it goes?
that's not in my
I
experience.
mean, I think that's also true.
I put lipstick on a pig, and it's definitely blown me.
You can lead a horse to water, but it probably still won't sleep with you. No matter how much water you show to that horse. Like, look at all this water I own.
On my dick. No, I honestly, even if you look at, if you look at all religions, it's all the fucking same story.
Right. I mean, yeah, this sort of leads into like the zeitgeist discussion.
Yeah.
Or, like
which is unfortunate.
Because I hate.
Because I like that movie, but I don't like contrarians. So
yeah,
it's a real toss up.
I've had
for
this
me.
discussion with multiple people. I like the zeitgeist. I've only ever seen the first zeitgeist movie, and
I've seen like all four of them.
I like it for the first 30 minutes,
Yeah.
where they're discussing basically what we're talking about, where all religious tales are sort of the same archetypes and the same sort of things over and over and over again rehashed. And then it goes straight into 9/11 conspiracies, and I'm like, nope, I'm out.
What is that? Why would they do such like a good documentary, and then the next thing is like, now that they've got you hooked.
You're right, yeah. Here's some crazy shit.
Like, do you think this is cool too?
Here's some quote unquote experts talking out their ass.
You know what it is? It's if people are willing to believe something like that, it's like it's not that big of a leap to believe the next thing they're gonna say.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that they did it well, but it's true. It's like I really like the beginning where it's just like we've just been working on the same archetype for forever.
Yeah, like one of the things they bring up is the idea of like the virgin birth. Is like that's not a new idea at all. It's like some of the oldest religions on Earth are based around the idea of a virgin birth of basically a god or a demigod or whatever. And
why? That's
because it's a crazy thing.
I know, but why? But
an immaculate conception.
We are so far. At least me and you, and like metropolitan America, we are so far from that, and yet that still makes sense to people.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was one of those things where, like, back in the super early days of human beings, when there's only like 3,000 people on Earth. You could go up to somebody and be like, listen, this bitch has never had sex, but she's pregnant, and a god did that. And they would be like, I don't even know how rain works, so sounds good to me. Like, I literally know, like, 4 things.
I don't even know how rain works.
Like,
I like the idea of the character that's like really modern and just like I don't even know how rain works.
Yeah, listen,
that sounds
I don't even know
pretty
how
cool.
I'm a pretty smart guy, but rain just baffles me.
Like, get real.
I know how to put on clothes. I know how to have a lot of sex and have 8 daughters, and then probably
and I know how to
sleep
tend
with
my
all of
sheep.
them.
And if you tell me I don't, I'm gonna fuck you up, man.
Yeah, I'll fuck you up. That's the one thing I know how to do is tend these fucking sheep.
I'm gonna break this grog bottle and fucking cut your face.
That's seriously, like, every time I read some story from the Old Testament, I would fucking love to go back there. Like, that's probably the one place I would go if I had a time machine. I would be like, Old Testament times, Middle East, please, right now. Because the type of stories that were coming out of there was like, all right, Abraham. Dude had like 6 wives. He had like 14 children. He lived to be 800 years old, according to that story. And he was just doing crazy shit. Most of the time, just minding sheep.
I mean, 800 years, most of the time minding sheep.
Yeah, a lot of minding sheep, a lot of trying to...
His glory days when he did stuff with Jesus.
A lot of dragging his firstborn son up to a hill, attempting to murder him, and then God being like, no, you don't have to kill him. Just cut his foreskin off. And he's like, done.
I could do that.
You got it. Just a little bitty foreskin. All right, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I was ready to murder him, but...
I didn't like that foreskin in the first place.
This is an easy Wednesday. Thought I had a full plate. I'm going to catch a nap after this.
If you went back there, I think it's you as a writer. If you went back there, our fucking history would be so fucked up.
That would be so great.
Just from the stuff that you've written.
I'd be the greatest storyteller.
Could you imagine a religion based off what you've written? It's like, oh, I'm a great writer, and I went back in time, and
just a lot of parables about impotency.
Just my father,
yeah.
My father this, my father that. My parents don't like me that much.
Oh god, good stuff. Anyway, so this idea, like in Zeitgeist, where like all religious stories are sort of the same thing again and again. But then if you take it even beyond religion, like all stories in general, like obviously there's the abstract examples, but a lot of the easily digestible stories follow that hero's journey pretty simplistic, like pretty straightforward.
Dude, I
life.
think it's because everybody wants to
Be a cat.
be that. Be a cat.
Thought you were gonna quote the Aristocats.
I was until you fucking knocked
Sorry.
my ball off my wiffle stand. What's it called?
T-ball?
Yeah, T-ball.
Wiffle stand?
Wiffle stand.
Blueberry wiffles?
No, but I think it's, everybody wants to be. Everybody feels like they have that potential all the time. Anybody that I've ever talked to has been like, I've got a lot of potential in this, and I'm just waiting for a master to realize I have that,
Right.
and I'm going to become great.
Yeah, everyone wants to be the hero.
But in reality, it can happen that way, but it's mostly you have to make it yourself.
Yeah. That's also a weird thing, though. Like, there's that saying, everybody's the hero of their own story.
Yeah.
Like, I think people, in your own mind, even if that's not really happening to you, you sort of craft in your head, I am living the hero's journey. Like, I am on this path, unless your life is garbage, and then you're like, I'm on some other type of journey that sucks.
It's pretty close to the hero's journey, but it's not there.
It's not, I'm like a sidekick's journey.
Yeah.
But no, I think a lot of people, I think I do this sometimes, where like you sort of think of your life in a narrative, and you're like, oh, well, I used to be here, and now like I'm really on my way to something, or like I'm about to be on my way to something, and like you start creating these arcs where there probably aren't really arcs. Your brain's trying to create a structure for chaos.
Well, and on top of that, it's like you think about it of like, man, I can't wait to look back on this and think about where this arc was in my life. I was living on fucking like $20 a day.
Yeah,
It's pretty good, actually.
It is. $20 a day is nice.
But like, it's like, oh yeah, it's like I would like when doing comedy and stuff. It's like I was thinking about that. It was like, oh, like I'm hanging out with my fucking 2-bit friends.
Yeah.
They came to my comedy shows, and like I was just doing comedy every night, and it was like I wasn't making any money, and it wasn't. But I was thinking like when I was doing it, and obviously that failed. But
sure, but it's still like when people say like, oh, this is just a chapter in my life, like this is a certain this one chapter. I think people do try to apply that narrative to their life.
I think that propels you as well.
Yeah.
Like thinking like this is just the beginning. This is what it's gonna be like for now. I've heard a million comedians talk about this.
Yeah.
It's just like I used to go to open mics at a bakery, and it's like this is just what mine is right now.
Yeah.
And then when I get older and I can talk to people on a podcast or in a interview setting, it's like I'll talk about how I used to go to this place and do this shitty comedy show.
Yeah.
And I think that's how your brain rationalizes. And I think that's why that whole narrative worked. Of just remembering when you had potential.
Yeah. Do you think that that's why, like, not only that those stories are so successful, but like why they keep happening over again? Like, is that just the basic format in our brain of a narrative, like of our brain trying to apply structure to stuff? Like the human brain is always trying to make sense of things. Like it's I forget the name. It's this German name for finding patterns, basically. It's a psychological thing where like the human brain from the time of birth is constantly trying to find patterns, and that's how we learn. And through those patterns, we try to make sense of the world. So I feel like this like hero's journey arc, or like the religious patterns that happen over and over again, they're just, more complex versions of that same thing. It's like we're trying to make structure out of this world that doesn't really have a whole lot of structure. And maybe that's why they keep happening over and over and over again. It's like we enjoy digesting that again and again, generation after generation, because it like helps us make sense of this world that doesn't really have that much sense.
Well, I think that's the thing. It's you have no idea what the fuck you're supposed to be doing, and these stories are like a rite of passage to learn and then to execute, because nobody. If you didn't have these stories, what would anybody do?
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't have like a semi roadmap to whatever the fuck you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I've got potential. I find somebody that understands I have potential, and then I'm great.
Right.
Most of us would just fucking not care. We'd just be even with like even with the Mongols. You think about the Mongols, it's like, well, they're just fucking roaming around with sheep. But even then, it's like they still have the same idea of just like I have potential because I'm really good at shearing sheep or like
Or
herding sheep.
falconry.
Yeah, or falconry.
Sick ass falcons on their arms.
Yeah, and like even the people you think are just roaming around, it's like they have like one job and that's just what they do. They all grow up to do the same job, but they all still have the same stories of the greatest fucking falconry or the sheep herder.
Yeah, and inside each of those person's head, from the outside, it might look like they're just working that same gear, like same job, same motive over and over and over again. But inside their head, they're on their own hero's journey of, I'm going to be the best, falcon hunter in this Mongol tribe.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be just like that other guy in that hero story that I heard.
If we didn't have something like this, I don't think any of us would do anything. I think we would, but I mean, it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a formulaic thing of thinking like, I really like this thing. I want to get good at it.
Yeah.
I want somebody to recognize that I'm good at it. Because that's the whole thing. It's the recognizing, somebody recognizing you're good at it gives you that extra push to go and do something. Even if you're eating fucking snacks, it's like, man, you're a great snack eater.
Thank you for saying that, by the way. I could tell you were looking at me earlier when I was eating those Flamin' Hot Munchies, and I was like, I mean, I think I'm good at this, but I just wish someone would recognize it.
Yeah, but you could be the best snack eater.
No.
You could.
Oh, that's so nice.
No, I mean, I'm not trying to be nice. I just think that you're a great snack eater.
No, I know. You're just being honest.
I'm just being honest and...
Okay, well... What I was just thinking about when you were talking about, like, if we didn't have those...
Or, like, when we paused it to make sure the whole thing wasn't corrupt.
No, I wasn't thinking about it then. I was checking the audio levels.
You want a beer?
Yes, please. But what I was thinking about when you were saying if we didn't have those stories, we probably wouldn't do anything. That makes me think, like, do those stories, is that what constitutes our society and like culture? Like, I can't imagine a society that existed that didn't have that sort of history of those stories.
I think those stories are already inside of us. I think they keep coming up because everybody thinks it's like, oh, like.
But like, yeah, everyone thinks it's original when they come up with it. So does that mean it's just ingrained in who we are as human beings? Like from birth, we are meant to grow up and create these stories?
Yeah, I mean, even if you think about monkeys, man, like they do similar shit as well. It's like they all want to be the alpha male.
Yeah.
Come from a baby to nothing, and they go through their growing pains of like being a teenager monkey.
Yeah. Or like
and they're super cool. They smoke cigarettes and skateboard.
Yeah. They ride their gator boards and tell their moms to fuck off. Or like King Louis from the Jungle Book. He wants to be like us, so that's like his hero's journey. He sings a whole song about it.
Can you sing the song?
Oh, it's just I want to be like you. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I don't know. Louis Prima sang it. It was great.
But isn't it interesting to think that the monkeys that don't become the alpha male, like, what do? Like, they just like, no, I didn't become the alpha male. I guess I'll just fucking do my job.
World needs ditch diggers. World needs beta monkeys.
I know. Isn't that crazy though? That
but at the same time,
you become complacent with it. It's just like
a little bit, but at the same time, like it keeps going back. For me, it goes back to that same idea of like everyone's the hero of their own story. It just depends on how you spin it for yourself. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you can be super bummed about the fact that you're not the alpha male, or you can be super bummed about the fact that you're a 6th grade algebra teacher for the rest of your life when you really wanted to be the president or whatever. Like you probably should have aimed low, or the president's like way out of your league.
I mean, just to be honest with you.
Yeah, just like be realistic, but at the same time, like you can also put a positive spin on it and make yourself the hero of your own story and be like, I am the beta monkey or whatever, but I'm the shit at it. Like, I'm the fucking coolest beta. Everybody wants to hang out with me. Alpha male's a dick. Everybody wants to hang out with me because I'm super laid back.
That's another interesting thought. Also, is that like even the alpha males in our country, it's just like they're all dicks.
Yeah, I mean that's what makes them alpha.
Most of them.
Yeah. Because the idea of alpha male is a very aggressive, animalistic thing. So
with like no caring.
Yeah. Because that's all weakness, technically.
No,
for now. We'll see how it goes.
But he fucks all the bitches, though.
Well, It's mostly rape. I don't know if you've watched any Discovery Kingdom, but it is
I haven't.
literally all rape.
I remember the first time I got a boner watching monkey documentaries.
Really?
They're all fucking each other.
I'm glad we already made it to the share corner.
No, I just because I was like a 12-year-old kid and I was watching some Discovery Kingdom shit and I was like,
That's like,
well, I never had sex yet.
right, so you were like, those monkeys are close enough. This is interesting.
No, they weren't just like standing next to each other and I got a boner.
No,
Like,
yeah,
they were
like fucking, but it was still just like, yeah, they're humanish. I get it, they're fucking.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah, like if you saw like a giraffe try and fuck another giraffe, which I don't even know how that works. They're both very lanky.
I actually know how it works.
Is it like horses?
They wrap their necks around each other.
How did that do?
I'm sorry, everybody. I replaced my co-host with a black person.
How did that do though?
No,
What is that? Their semen is in their neck or something? Like,
No. I mean, no. They still fuck like giraffe style or doggy style.
Right. But so they wrap the neck around the other one so they can like.
Oh yeah,
bounce.
when I saw this monkey documentary, I went on to a full blown like animalistic fuck fest. I wonder what it looks like when a hippo fucks a dog, and I just kept going.
I remember when I was a kid and I was in the plaza in downtown Sonoma and they had all the ducks in the pond and I was like throwing some bread at these ducks and then this huge male duck just comes up behind one of the female ducks and have you ever seen duck sex in real life? It is aggressive rape. It is literally the male jumps on the other one's back, on the female's back, bites the back of their neck and then shoves their head underwater and then has sex with them.
Because of the shame.
Yeah, has just don't look at me, and then has sex with them for like 5 seconds, and then swims away. And the female duck just either has to like walk it off.
Pat him on the butt and walk it off.
Yeah, it's just like way to go, champ, and it's just like and goes in the weeds. It was rough, but yeah, like pretty much all animal sex is rape, I think.
No, but I think that the hero story is.
I'm glad we're going back to that.
Yeah, isn't it funny that I'm bringing it back?
Yeah, I was like, I thought we were really gonna go on a rape
Normally you
tangent
pause
for a while.
and you whisper to me like, hey, maybe you should like try to dial it back.
Maybe tone down the animal rape stuff.
No,
Anyway.
there's a reason it's been around forever, and it's you can seriously, as long as it's not like an indie movie, you can see it in every goddamn movie.
Sure, yeah. Well, yeah, that's the other thing I was thinking is like there are the outlier stories, like I was saying with the Old Testament. Like there's tons of things in the Old Testament that don't follow a hero's journey and don't follow religious motifs that have happened over and over again. Like there's some weird shit in there that doesn't show up in other religions. There's some weird shit in ancient Greek mythology that doesn't show up in other myths. So there's always going to be like weird outlying stories that don't follow these structures. But the fact that there are patterns that happen over and over and over again is the more interesting part, I think.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say.
You had a point though. It was they keep happening for some reason. I don't know, man.
No, I mean they do it's because I think there's a very ingrained, whether it's nature or nurture or whatever it is,
Sure.
there's a big pull to not be a fucking loser.
Yeah. I mean, everybody likes to hear those stories. The myth stories and the hero stories.
But you bring up a good point of just like even if you're the hero of your own story,
Yeah.
and for some reason your brain justifies it.
Honestly, I think that's what a lot of it is. Like, I feel like it's more psychological than,
Than actually happening.
Yeah, than like some sort of like, human spirit that's passing through like generation to generation of like humanity. I think it's literally like the psychological makeup of our brain is, we want to find patterns in things and we want to justify to ourselves that everything's okay. And so we create these stories and then we put ourselves into these stories in our own way.
Do you think it holds us back a little bit?
I don't think so. I mean, because the great thing about the hero's journey is it, shows that anybody could be a hero. It's not like, it starts off with, the richest guy, but I was just about to say it doesn't start off with the richest, prettiest guy, but then I was like, but Siddhartha, like the Buddha, he started as like he was a rich prince with a wife and child, and he left it to go become the Buddha. So he really started up top, and he went way down.
Or up. It depends.
Or up if you're talking
Hare
enlightenment.
Krishna.
Yeah, if you're talking enlightenment, you went way up. But no, I think everybody wants to strive to be better, and that's what the hero's journey sort of is about.
But what about when
finding what's special about you?
Yeah, but what about when you? Well, yeah, I mean, I guess so. But what about when you find a comfortable spot and you look back on it?
You just fucking
because
coast.
that's kind of essentially what I'm in right now. Is that middle part of just like I'm fine with my life.
Sure.
But there's other people that are not fine with my life.
Yeah. And there are those certain people where it's like they say
like important people, not just like my fucking some dude told me that.
Yeah. No, totally. And there's a lot of people who have that mindset where it's like, never be comfortable. Like always be striving to, do better or whatever. But I don't know. I think it's a lot of like, to each his own. And literally, the world can't be filled with heroes who are trying to strive to be the greatest person ever, because then we'd just be surrounded by attention whore dickheads. Like people constantly trying to be the best everything. It's like, you can find your comfort zone and then try to be the best at that, or just do whatever makes you happy or whatever. But I think a lot of it literally just stems out of wanting to have a structure. You don't ever want to feel like what you're doing is meaningless. And you don't ever want to feel like what you're doing has no point.
Well, I think people know when they're not being their best.
Yeah. And I think that's when it feels like that's when you get those feelings where it's like, what is the point? Like, why am I doing this? Nothing feels good.
No, it's not even that. It's like people get comfortable and it's just like, well, this works, but I know I'm not being my best.
Right. But that comfortable feeling, at least for me, I don't know, that's probably a general exaggeration, but for me, being comfortable leads very quickly into depression. Like feeling like I'm not really doing anything, I'm just sort of in a comfortable lull, leads very quickly into like, what is the point? Which is depression.
The point is depression.
Yeah. Well, it's like somebody told me a long time ago, the reason in like the 40s and 50s there was like this huge drive for housewives to do a lot of housework, like to do like there was a lot of like a big culture built around being a housewife and like doing different chores and like doing chores a certain way or whatever, and like new ways to do chores and like very exciting things like that. It was because
it's super exciting.
Women who were, resigned to being housewives in the 40s and 50s were going through these epic depressions of just like, what is the point? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing anything? But doing a small chore and having a new way to do it created a small amount of order in their life and purpose, and it made them less depressed. Where it's like, when I feel bummed out, sometimes I clean my room and I feel a little bit less bummed out. It sounds stupid, but it's just like, oh, I have control over this thing and I've like applied order to this, and now like I have a purpose in a small, insignificant way, but at least like there's something. And I feel like a hero's journey is just a larger version of that, where it's like it's your whole life. It's like you're trying to apply a purpose to your whole life for something.
Well, I mean, I feel like I'm right there at that precipice right now of just like...
Solid word.
Precipice. I'm glad that you...
Woo! That's the word of the day!
Everybody write down. No, but I feel like I'm right there. Just like, fuck, I'm 24 now at this point, and I've done a lot of stuff, and I kind of like all of it, but I don't really like any of it. It's true. It's like I'm having like a midlife,
quarter life crisis.
A quarter life crisis, especially because I lost my job and I'm just fucking broke. But it's like I'm almost forcing myself. Like I'm in the beginning of that hero stage.
Yeah.
Of just being like, I've got the potential to do something.
Right. You just gotta find your path or whatever.
Which is shitty, and I feel like it's shitty because like if I went to college, I would have found that at 19.
No, you wouldn't.
Well, probably
I went
not.
To college.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't know shit.
yeah, that's true. But at least I would have gotten like a little bit of a reality check. It's like, but I was just like, I'm not in college.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. For me, I've seen a lot of different things happen to people our age, where it's like, there are some people who are 18 and they're like, I got it, I know what I'm supposed to do. And
but I used to feel that way. I used to remember being like, no, I got this.
And yeah, and I've seen my friends and I've seen myself go through multiple phases of like, I got this, and then like a year later you're like, who am I? So it's just like, I don't know.
Yell that out of your balcony?
Yeah.
And your neighbor's like, shut the fuck up.
My shirt's just ripped open and I have blood all over my hands.
It's from your wrists.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just, you see that pattern over and over and over again, especially around this age, like between 18 and 25. It's just like, you think you got it, nope, you don't got it. You think you got it, nope, you don't. And some people find it, when they're like 20 at college. Some people find it when they're 35 and they're in their second marriage and they're like, I finally get it.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's different for every person, and I just tell people not to worry about it because like nobody knows what the fuck they're doing.
Well, I mean, this has been cathartic because I thought I had it at 18.
Yeah.
I thought I had it at 21.
Yeah.
I thought I had it at 23.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure I still don't have it.
I thought I had it at like 18 or 19. Like when I first went to college, I was like, I know exactly what I'm doing. And then at 20, I was just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And then at 21, I was like, I got it again. And then
look at me go. And 20, then like, oops.
20, like 22, 23, I was just like, fuck ever getting it. That's just never going to happen. I'm not riding this roller coaster anymore. I'm getting off.
No, it's true.
I'm going to the funnel cake stand. I'm just going to hang out there all day.
I'm just going to get a funnel cake. Yeah. And I'll sit down here and eat it.
Just sit on my luggage right next to the funnel cake stand.
I'm on a plane to go to Germany, but I don't think I'm going to make it, to be honest with you.
I'm not going to make it. But, yeah, heroes' journeys and such. I don't know. I think it's interesting.
I think it's funny that you chose this because I'm like right in the like middle of this entire thing.
I was just thinking about it because
your friend's losing his apartment and he's just gonna fucking die.
I was just thinking about Joseph Campbell recently. I was like, I haven't thought about the hero's journey in a while, and it is like it's an interesting concept from a writing standpoint. Like I think about it sometimes, but honestly not that much. Like those sort of like arcs, I try not to think about because that's too structure heavy for being productive.
Do you think that you can lie to yourself to try to recreate a hero's journey?
Oh yeah, totally. I think people do that all the time, but I also don't think that's unhealthy in any way.
Yeah.
Like I think it's unhealthy if you're being super delusional about it, but I think it's important for people to believe that they're on this sort of hero's journey and believe that, they have a purpose to do something, believe that there's a structure to whatever they're doing and a path. Because if there's not, then you fall into this like squalor of nothing means anything. What is the point? Like any decision that I make or any path I choose to go down, there is no path. It's only chaos. Like you're basically Nietzsche and then you're just a dick. Like that's the opposite. It's just like.
By the way, Nietzsche is our sponsor this week.
Yeah, this week we're sponsored by Nietzsche. Go to Nietzsche.com /drunken philosophy
and click on the little microphone and type in the code word dick.
Yeah, code word dick. DIKK. Don't misspell it.
Because you won't get that discount.
You won't. 10% off. 10% off Nietzsche.
10% off, like just the guy.
Just him. You only get 90% of him. It's 10% off. And you get a free Ubermensch.
The only reason I know Ubermensch is from this podcast. When we talked about it, it was like the third or the fourth one.
It's a deep callback to the Ubermensch.
Which is surprising because we haven't done this in such a long time that I am still getting the references.
I'm proud of you. But no. I think it's important, like there is a part of my brain that does embrace the idea that the universe is made up of chaos and there is no real order to it or whatever, but that's no way to live your life. Like you're a dickhead if you do that. Like literally you don't do much and you're just cynical and an asshole a lot of the time.
You know what's weird is that I like just in the sense of this hero's journey and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think my brain is so like filled with like serotonin, like all the happy feeling. I don't ever feel like I'm gonna like die. Like I don't. no matter how bad it gets,
Mm-hmm.
I never am one of those people that are just like, well, I'm fucked. I'm probably going to become a homeless person.
Oh yeah.
It's like always just like, something's gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Well, yeah. That's
Right now. This is part of my journey.
I think honestly, I think that's everybody to a certain extent. Like, I don't think a lot of people get to a point where they're like,
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah,
really?
They do.
Where there's like, if I don't do anything, I'm gonna be homeless. Because I seriously think
No,
even people who
I'm
are
there. I'm close. It's
Well,
like
yeah.
if I don't make a move right now.
but you're not gonna be homeless. Like
That's not-
literally, if it happens, you'll come and live on my couch, or you'll move
Well,
back to
no,
Sonoma,
I don't-
or
I-
whatever. Like,
yeah, no, I don't think I'm gonna be like homeless.
Right,
but
right,
it's
right.
like it's gonna adjust my life
Sure.
very largely.
But I think honestly, like I was just when you were saying that, I think that thought process translates to everybody, no matter what their situation is. Like, I bet if you asked a person who was 2 weeks new to literally being homeless, like sleeping on the streets, and you asked them just like, what's it like being homeless? They would be like, oh, I'm not like really homeless. I'm close to being homeless. I'm working through a couple things, and like I'm pretty soon I'm gonna find a place to live, and then next thing you know, it's like 10 years later and they're still living on the street. Like, I think that's
You're not giving me any hope right
no,
now.
I'm just saying. I think that's
Just
the
saying.
human. I think that's a human mindset to
Yeah.
think that like, there's always something that's going to happen that's going to be the step forward, instead of like everything's going to be a step back from now on. And I think that's a positive thing. Like, that's your brain sort of trying to adjust to the situation you're in and create a path for yourself that leads to success, as opposed to just being like, everything's garbage and we're gonna wash down the drain now. And I think that's way healthier than what I just said.
Well, what do you think about like the homeless people that have been homeless for a while? They have like white beards and they've got nicotine stains on their mustache.
Those dudes are usually so pickled with alcohol they don't even know like where they are anymore, or they're mentally disabled.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah,
at
it's
that
like
point. That's a
yeah,
whole
the
other
homeless thing
podcast.
is a totally different complex story. But the people who are like down and out and committed to being down and out, I feel like even in their head somewhere they still think they're on this upward journey.
It's true. They do. It's like
In some
they
way,
have,
yeah.
It's like I'm just gonna sell these like papers, like these street sheets.
Yeah,
And
and
I'm
then
gonna
I'm gonna get myself a real job, and it's
Yeah.
they still think they're on this little hero's journey.
And even if they spend like the money you give them on drugs, it's like,
Huh.
well, I spend it on drugs now, but
yeah.
tomorrow I'm gonna.
What if that was their hero's journey for the day? They're like, today my potential is to do a lot of drugs, and I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna make a bunch of money, I'm gonna spend it on drugs. Like, the peak of their arc for the day is them buying drugs and then doing them.
That's not
And
funny
then
because
just
that's
celebrate.
actually true, and that's like that's literally. It's not a
It's
hero's
pretty sad.
journey, but it's,
it's some type of journey.
I mean, it's in the same vein, but
Yeah.
it's not.
But no, I think that's interesting. Like, I think it really speaks to the psychology of the brain as opposed to like the mythology of the human race. It really is, our brains trying to create these stories. And then when we create a society where we're trying to pass along stories, they just sort of resemble these things that our brain is constantly trying to tell us that we're
Yeah.
capable of.
Well, I gotta hand it to you. You really picked a topic that was very close to home at this exact point.
I'm going to pat myself on the back.
Don't do it now.
Because I pulled this topic out of my ass and I had very little to talk about, and I feel like I really wrapped it up in a solid
You know what?
way.
You changed my life.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm gonna go beat some meat. And
Beat some meat?
Well, I'm gonna masturbate
Yeah,
first,
you're-
and then I'm gonna go to a deli and I'm gonna
Beat
punch.
some meat.
I'm gonna punch some carcasses.
By the way, I'm older than you. I could be your wizard right now. I'm a full
I'm
2 days older
almost
than
positive
you.
you're not my
I'm a
wizard.
full 2 days older than you. I could be the old man. I could be your Obi-Wan.
You could be my Obi Nun.
Ayo! That doesn't really rhyme.
That doesn't rhyme. That I mean, it rhymes, but
Obi-Non. We should open a Star Wars themed Indian restaurant.
Obi Non Kenobi.
Obi-Non Kenobi. Obi Garlic Non Kenobi.
These are not the shawarmas you're looking for.
Yeah.
The worst part about it is that could work in San Francisco.
It totally could, yeah. I was trying to think of another Star Wars pun. Now I can't.
When you're on the spot. That's why we're not a professional podcast. We're an amateur podcast.
I was thinking the other day of the funniest. I don't know why I thought this was so funny, but the funniest way to describe the plot of Star Wars is it's a story of two soldiers who can't find these droids that they're looking for. It's the epic tale of these two soldiers who are just trying to find these two droids and they can never find them.
Dude, that's why I love the expanded universe of Star Wars.
Why? Is there a whole plot about? Is there a book about those guys?
Oh yeah, there's a comic book about them.
Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I'll have to look it up. But
I remember I went to WonderCon like 3 years ago, and one of those stormtroopers.
Why did you go to WonderCon?
Because Bob wanted to go because he wanted to play Magic cards, and Sam and I were like, "We'll go." But we went, and first of all, the guy who played Jaws in the James Bond movie, and Happy Gilmore's boss, and Happy Gilmore was there. He was great. And
hey, Happy.
Yeah. But also
Brazilian guy's not gonna get that joke.
He's not. Yeah, that's a reference he won't get. Also, one of the guys who played one of the stormtroopers who said who was looking for the two droids.
That could be anybody.
I know, but he was there. He had his whole booth set up, and he had like screenshots from him in his stormtrooper costume.
That's how you know you're really not making it.
Yeah, and I was like, is anyone coming to your booth today?
If you have time to go to WonderCon.
Yeah, in San Francisco. Like, I hoped he lived in the area. If he like flew in from Colorado.
Oh, I bet he did.
That would have bummed me out.
No, I bet he did.
Ugh. It's rough stuff.
All right. Well, sounds like this is the end of the podcast.
Yeah, I think we're wrapping her up. Thanks if anyone's listening anymore. Thanks for listening again. Sorry we took that so long off. But we're gonna try and keep doing it again semi-regularly.
We're gonna get deeper into Connor's depression.
Yeah,
how he doesn't have a job and how he might lose his home.
Yeah. Also, if you can donate any money to the fact that Connor will soon be homeless,
we're gonna do a Kickstarter just for Connor living in his home.
Yeah. Go to Kickstarter.com/kickitup _ Connor Holmes will be homeless.
Yeah, and the Brazilian dude that listens, if you get an extra couple of shillings.
Listen, motherfucker, I know you're from Sao Paulo. You got tons of money.
Yeah. You're probably living in a favela, you're probably the second-hand man to, like, the favela lord. You can kick down a couple of, bucks.
Ducats.
What do they use in Brazil? Portuguese dollars?
I should know. I did a whole project on Brazil when I was in 6th grade, but I can't remember. Brazil. I think it's like Brazilias. I think it's literally like a Brazilian dollar.
Well, just convert it to American dollars and then send it over.
Yeah, convert it into those 3 American dollars and then send it on up here.
Wait till the government starts back up and then convert it because it's gonna be worth nothing if you send it over.
Also, send us a piece of the rainforest. You guys got plenty of it.
And also send us World Cup tickets.
Oh yeah, World Cup tickets and Olympic tickets. I mean, if you can't get World Cup, we'll go to the Olympics.
I would be very upset if this guy doesn't listen anymore. Like he deleted us. He just was like, they don't do anything anymore.
He doesn't at all. All right, that about does it. Follow me on Twitter at Danford and Son.
Follow me on Tumblr at Fake Smiles Make Me Smile.
Oh my god, please follow that Tumblr. That'd be so funny.
I haven't updated in like a fucking
That's fine.
3 years.
People should still go look at it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's it. I love you.
I love you too.
I wasn't talking to you.
Oh, sorry.